Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste and a hearty welcome to one and all for today's 45th session of our series Gift, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. Continuing aspects of Ishwara Swarupam or the nature of God in today's verses 8 to 12 of the 9th chapter, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, Bhagwan, talking of jagat karanam, says, at the beginning of the next kalpa, I manifest them again in a cyclical process. Resorting to my prakriti, I create these helpless magnitude forms and beings again and again, being under the control of prakriti. These actions do not bind me. I remain like a neutral observer, ever detached from these actions like an indifferent person remaining as a sakshi. The creation which had resolved into potential form are reborn into beings of animate and inanimate forms. When I take a human form of an avatar, deluded persons are unable to recognize me as they do not know the divinity of my higher nature as the supreme Lord of all beings. Deluded by material energy, such persons embrace demonic or atheistic views. In that deluded state, their hopes for welfare are in vain, their fruitive actions are wasted, and their culture of knowledge is baffled. These verses shall be explained in detail by Srimati Mamata Shankar, Sri Venkatesh Prasad, Dr. Rekha Kumar, Dr. Jagadish, and Sri Bhaskar RV. Dr. Anupama shall moderate today's session. She will also give us an introduction to the day's topics with key aspects. Over to Dr. Anupama.
Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. As Mr. Shiv just said, we are doing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 8 to 12 today. The central theme of these verses is Ishwara Swarupam, which we should understand as a mixture of two components, the para prakriti, which we call Brahman, and apara prakriti or Maya. From the standpoint of Brahman, meaning from the binary format, both Maya and creation are mithya. First, we should know Saguna Ishwara, and then it is mandatory to graduate to Nirguna Brahma. Why? Because Upasana Ashrito Dharmaha, a person committed to Upasana, meaning committed to Saguna Ishwara all his life, Jate Brahmani Vartate, remains in the triangular format. Prag Utpatte Ajam Sarvam Tena, he thinks that all of this creation, Brahman, God, is unborn before creation. Asau Kripanaha Smritaha, this person is considered to be miserable, considered to be unfortunate, and he deserves only sympathy. So what should we do? We should know Ishvara as avyaktam or Indriya Agocharam, suprasensory, sarvagatam, formless, all-pervading, jagat adhisthanam, the substratum, asangah, not tainted by anything, jagat srishti, stithi, laya, karanam. Krishna says the material universe exists in me in its potential form called Maya or Prakriti, and this unmanifest Maya unfolds or becomes the manifest creation. So what about Brahman? Brahman is a consciousness which supports this phenomenon of srishti, stithi, and laya. So although we start with Brahman as jagat, srishti, stithi, laya, karana, as senior students, we should understand that this is the adhyaropa stage and realize that nirguna Brahman is karya, karana, vilakshana, being a karta. Does this world come out of Ishwara or out of me? Remember, Ishwara Sarvagatam Hriddesherjuna Tishtati. Krishna had said this in the 18th chapter. This means Jivatma is Paramatma. And we also know Mayi eva sakalam jatam, Mayi sarvam pratishtitam. What is the purpose of this creation? Adi Shankaracharya says, there are no answers to wrong questions. When we understand that there is only pure Chaitanya or consciousness without anything contaminating it, this question will just not arise. The inexplicability or anirvachaniyatvam of creation is revealed by the Vedas. Taittiriya Brahmanam 289 says, Ko adha Veda, who knows a clear answer? Ka iha pravochat, who gives the answer to this question? Kuta ajata, kuta iyam visrishtihi. What is the source? What is the reason of creation? Therefore, the cause, the locus, the source, the purpose, the reason, temporal, spatial location, nothing at all, nothing about creation is logically explicable. One word answer for this question is, it is Mayikam. Initially, we say Brahman is Karanam, the Adhyaropa stage. Later, we say Brahman is Karya Karana Vilakshana, the Apavada stage. We start with Matsthani Sarva Bhutani and conclude with Nacha Matsthani Bhutani. The world is a projection of ignorance, and any projection of ignorance is anirvachaniyam. Yad ajnana janyam tat sat na bhavati, asat na bhavati, bhinnam na bhavati, abhinnam na bhavati. So, how do you say creation is ajnana janyam? On inquiry, we realize there is no creation. The problem is not actually solved. It simply dissolves. So, the belief that there is creation is ignorance. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Jivas are deluded because knowledge is covered by ignorance. The ultimate answer, as always, is Gaudapadacharya's Ajativada. Na nirodho, there is no dissolution. Nacha utpatti, there is no creation. Nacha baddha, no bondage. Nacha sadhaka, there is no practitioner of chitta shuddhi. Na mumukshu, no seeker of moksha. Navai muktaha, there is no jivan mukta. Ityesha paramarthata. This is the absolute truth. So proceeding with today's verses, Mamta Shankar will now explain verse 8 for us. Over to you, Mamta.
Thank you, ma'am. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Lord Krishna elaborates on higher nature of God, that is Brahman, which is beyond space, time, and object, in verses 4 to 10 of the chapter 9. Features elaborated by Krishna, which Dr. Anupama ma'am also just talked about Brahman are Brahman is formless, all-pervading or sarvagatam, jagat, adhisthanam or supporter of the universe, jagat, srishti, stithi, laya, karanam, asangatvam or is untainted. Now, having talked about these features, Lord Krishna details on creation of the universe in verses 7 and 8. Verse 8 will be discussed in today's session. Chanting the verse 8. Prakritim swamavashtabhyam visrajami punah punah bhutagramamimam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. Resorting to my prakriti, I create again and again this entire multitude of beings which is helpless, being under the control of prakriti is what the literal meaning of this verse is. In the next slide, here Lord Krishna says, Aham punah punah visujami. That is, I repeatedly create this universe, which means creation is a cyclic process of manifestation of universe, which is in potential form, and unmanifestation of universe or universe in its potential or seed form. And creation is eternal in nature. In the next slide, Krishna goes on to say, I create the universe using prakritim swam avashtabhya. That means I, the higher nature or Brahman, project the universe with the help of or resorting to my own prakriti or maya, which is the universe in potential form. Swamiji gives an analogy to explain this. Just as without the samskaras or vasanas or imprint in the mind, we individual beings cannot dream. Similarly, Brahman, that is I, the higher nature, require creation in potential form to project the universe, and that potential form is called Prakriti or Maya. When Lord Krishna says, I create the universe based on Swamiji's explanation, it is to be interpreted as I, the higher nature or Brahman of the Lord, use Maya or Prakriti, Lord's lower nature, to project the universe. So Lord Krishna or Ishwara is the master of Maya. Maya is under Lord's control and is not under the spell of Maya or is not bound by Maya. So Lord Krishna or Ishvara is aware of Aham Brahmasmi or established in Brahman all the time. In the next slide, and Krishna says Imam Kritsnam Bhuta Gramam. That means I, the higher nature or Brahman, along with Prakriti or Maya, create this entire or in totality, Kritsnam in this verse, multitude of things and beings which are avasham, that is helpless, or beyond the control of beings and completely under the control of Maya or Prakriti, which is Prakritir Vashat. In this context, Bhuta means jivas, that is all living beings, and Gramam means multitude of things and beings and not village. Shankaracharya in the Bhashyam refers Prakriti or Maya to avidya lakshanam and avasham or helplessness as a swatantram, which means in this context, living beings are not the masters but under the control of three factors. They are avidya, kama, karma. That is self-ignorance of living beings causing I, me, mine findings, leading to desires in turn to karma or actions resulting in papa and punya. Therefore, jivas or living beings being under the spell of Maya means they are under the control of papa punya that results from karma and vasanas of the jivas. So Krishna says, I create these beings again and again based on the karma that results in papa punya. In other words, jiva continues in the eternal cycle of birth and rebirth. Swamiji says, only way one can get out of Prakriti's influence or cycle of birth or rebirth is to put forth effort or sadhanas towards achieving liberation or moksha, to discover our real nature and claiming Aham Brahmasmi. In the last slide, paraphrasing Swami Sarvapriyananda, in the midst of the manifestation and unmanifestation of the universe, and I'd like to conclude with a quote from Chandogya Upanishad to reiterate on the ultimate reality, which says, there is no second thing to Brahman. Ekam eva dvitiyam Brahma. So be it there are various experiences in the universe or there are various sadhanas to attain the highest, the ultimate reality is only Brahman, and we have to strive to discover that in us. Thank you, sir. Hello.
Thank you, Mamta. That was a very nice explanation. So we have just seen verse 8 as explained by Mamta. This verse defines Prakriti, which is also called Mula Avidya or Maya. So what is Avidya? We have a general definition which says that which is eliminated by jnanam. This is abhava rupa. But there is a Vedantic definition. Avidya is a mithya padartha. Bhava, abhava, vilakshana, sad, asad, vilakshana rupam, yet seemingly existent enough to cause samsara. Krishna says, as master of Maya, this world evolves and resolves again and again in a cyclic manner, automatically by Maya Shakti. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrijami punah punaha. Now, why does Krishna say visrijami? Sri Venkatesh Prasad will explain this to us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Lord Krishna is explaining Ishwara Swarupam from verse 9.4 to 9.10. He has covered 5 features of Ishwara in the earlier verses, as mentioned by both Dr. Anupama ma'am and Srimati Mamta. You are seeing them on the screen. Next slide, sir. In the verse 9.9, Krishna talks about the 6th and final feature of Ishwara. The verse goes like this. Nachamam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasinavat asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. He gives the 6th description of Ishvara by way of answering a possible doubt. When the Lord says, I am the creator of this universe, the Lord seems to perform an action. And what is that action? The very production of the universe itself seems to be an action. And if Lord is srishti, Lord will have kartavya. And if Lord is akarta, the Lord will have to become what? Abhokta, the enjoyer of the result of action. A doer will have to become an enjoyer also. As you do, so you become. So this doubt may come, for which Krishna gives the answer. I am akarta and abhokta. I am neither the creator nor the destroyer, and therefore you cannot attribute any action or result to me. Next slide, sir. Krishna has told this earlier in chapter 4. The verse 4.14 says, Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti mamyo abhijanati karma virna sabadhyate. Since I am not interested in the karma phala, these karmas do not bind me. In the second line he says, even those who know this principle also will be free from the karmas they do. Next slide, sir. And therefore, he says, Hey Dhananjaya, hey Arjuna, tani karmani mam na nibadhanti. All those actions, srishti, stithi, laya, karmani, which including people's death also, is the job of the Lord, which gives pain to so many people. It is the job of the Lord alone. So therefore, srishti karta, stithi karta, laya karta, even though actions are taking place, those karmas do not bind me at all. Now, the question is what the secret is. Lord seems to do everything. At the same time, the karmas do not accrue to him. How does he manage? He does not give up the karma, but he continues the karma, but he is not bound by the karma. What is the secret? He gives the secret here. Teshu karmasu asaktam. I am not identified with, attached to, involved in those karmas. Kartrutva abhimana is not there. And therefore, if I have to get out of the shackles of karma, I need not stop the actions. Actions can continue, but what is to be handled is the abhimana. Ahankara, mamakara, abhimana alone. And therefore, teshu karmasu asaktam. And then, how do I remain? Udasinavat asinam. I am as though an indifferent person. I am an uninvolved person. I am detached. And from this, Krishna is giving the clue for us also. We also can continue to be involved in action, but without being attached to those karmas or to the karma phalas, as said in the 5th chapter. Next slide, sir. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit. Pashyan, shrunvan, sprishan, jigran, ashnan, gachan, swapan, shvasan. Pralapan, visrujan, grinhan, anmishan, nimishan api, indriyan, indriyartheshu, vartanta iti dharayan. Again in the verse 5.13, it says, Sarva karmani manasa, sanyasyaste sukham vashi, navadvare pure dehi, naiva kurvatra karayan. Next slide, sir. Therefore, Abhimana tyaga is the secret of akartrutvam and abhoktutvam, not karma renunciation. Karma cannot be renounced. Karma need not be renounced. Karma ani abhimana alone has to be renounced. And whoever has done that, he is free from karma palam also. Harivom, thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a very great explanation. So we have seen this word, aham visrijami. Is nirguna Brahman a karta? Visrijami gives us the impression of srishti, stithi, laya, karta. Here Krishna reveals the Rajaguhyam. He says, Nacha mam tani karmani nibhadnanti. We must understand this as na eva kinchit karomi iti. These events, he says, just happen, and these karmas do not bind me at all. I am akarta abhokta. Why? Tesham karmasu asaktam. I have no kartritva bhavana. It is only the ahankara vimudhatma kartaram iti manyate. So does nirguna Brahma create this world? Krishna says, in my presence, creation takes place. Remaining as Sakshi Chaitanyam, Maya Adhyakshena, I lend Chidabhasa to Maya, Udasinavat Asinam, Tesham Karmasu Asaktam, Viddhi Akartaram Avyayam. Ultimately, he says, my Ishwaratvam is also Mithya. Why? Because Aham Brahma Asmi. Moving on to verse 10. Rekha, please.
Thank you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Hari Om. To recap a little, the central theme of chapter 9 is the higher nature, nirguna Ishwara Swarupam, defined in verses 4 to 10. We have heard most of the features already explained brilliantly by the previous speakers and Dr. Anupama. Next slide, please. Coming to verse 10, Maya dhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetu nan ena kaunteya jagat vipari vartate. So Lord Krishna says in this verse, in my presence, Prakriti gives rise to the moving and non-moving creation. I am the causeless cause of all by which this world revolves. Next slide, please. So we come to one of the most important features of Nirguna Ishwara Swarupam, which is the Sakshi principle. Lord Krishna says to remain detached without abhimana, that is called Sakshi Bhavaha. So he says, hey Arjuna, I do not willfully do anything, but in my presence, in the presence of the Sakshi, Maya or matter does its function. So Lord Krishna is not referring to his body, his avatara, which is his lower nature, but to all-pervading consciousness, which is formless and untainted. So we have two examples which are often used by Swami Paramarthananda to help us understand consciousness better. One is light, which pervades and illumines wherever it falls. It helps in various actions that take place in any place. For example, a room, the light does not influence the type of action that is done in the room, whether it is good or bad. The karma phalams of the actions also do not taint the light. The other example is electricity. In its presence, every gadget, whether it's a fan that starts moving when it is switched on, a light that comes on when it is switched on, so they do their particular function. Electricity itself does not will or wish any particular action. Next slide, please. Coming to the meaning of the Sanskrit words, Maya adhyakshena. Because of the presence of me, actions take place. Actions, as we understand, can be good or bad. And when Lord Krishna says my presence, he means all-pervading consciousness. Prakriti, we have heard this before, the basic matter called Maya, which was called apara prakriti in the 7th chapter. Like light and electricity help actions happen, gadgets function, a sattvic brain or mind will do its function blessed by consciousness, as will a rajasic mind. So will do its actions blessed by consciousness. Even a tamasic criminal mind does the criminal action, which is determined by the nature of the mind, blessed by consciousness. So, in the last, that is, in a tamasic mind, one cannot blame the consciousness principle or God, because it is just the enlivening element. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Prakriti, the basic matter, evolves, suyate. So, the word suyate evolves into, it produces or projects, characharam jagat. So, the whole universe consisting of the moving, chara, and stationary one, a chara, or the entire creation of things and beings. Next slide, please. Hetuna anena. So Lord Krishna says, because of my sheer presence, the whole drama of samsara is going on. God is like the light, does not play any role in the transaction. But the presence of the Lord is required, like the presence of light is required for any transaction to take place. So anena hetuna means in my presence. Lord Krishna makes a profound statement. I am the causeless cause of everything. Jagat viparivartate. The entire universe revolves and everything is in motion because of me. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Rekha. That was a wonderful explanation. I really have nothing much to say, but let's take it with this way. Can kartrutvam and akartrutvam coexist in a same person? We know kartrutvam belongs to ahankara, which is vyavaharika, and akartrutvam to atma, which is paramarthika. So can ahankara do any karma without atma? Certainly not, because atma is the adhisthanam of ahankara. So Krishna is vyavaharika drishtya a karta and paramarthika drishtya a karta. Matsthani sarvakarmani nacha matsthani karmani. All karmas, he says, are superimposed on me. I am the paramarthika adhisthana of vyavaharika karmas. Karmas are not in me because they are mithya. Creation and pralayam happen in accordance with samashti prarabdha. Again, the word jagat viparivartate, as Rekha has already explained, it means all events at both macro and micro level are happening in the medium of consciousness. Just as akasha and prakasha are not tangible and non-participatory, Vedanta projects a third fundamental medium of consciousness, the Sakshi Chaitanyam, in which the entire Jagat rests. And where is this Sakshi? Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. Next, we have verse 11. Dr. Jagadish, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Chapter 9 is Raja Vidya Yoga or Raja Guhya Yoga. It is a sovereign science and the sovereign secret. In the previous chapters 7 and 8, Bhakti was described. But here Krishna says he creates all forms and absorbs all at dissolution. Just as Akasha, as the slide shows, the Akasha, though containing the other four elements, water, earth, fire, and air, ultimately it is Chidakasha. In fact, Krishna is Chidakasha because that is the infinity. Yet, Krishna remains aloof and detached. But by his Yoga Maya, appears as normal human to all of us who are nothing but avajananti moodas, a phrase which will be stressed in the shloka because we cannot fathom his supreme nature. More of it as we dwell into the shloka. The shloka slide, sir. Next. Avajananti mam moodha manushim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Slide, sir. The word meaning would be something like this. Ajananto, not knowing mama, my param brahma, the higher nature, or the highest nature we can say. Bhuta maheshwaram, I am the Lord of all. The Muda Havajananti, the phrase I referred to earlier, the foolish look down, ma'am, upon me, because I am in the ashritam manushitanu, because I have taken the human form. The crux of the shloka is that because of the samsara karana, we fail to see the Bhagavan's higher nature. We cannot see the divinity of the Supreme Lord at all. Krishna jostles us further with a very strong phrase, mudha avajananti, to wake us from the complacent, shallow, and deep level of thoughtlessness. In fact, similar thoughts are echoed even in Bhagavatam. Slide, sir. It says in Bhagavatam, Gudham Param Brahma Manushalingam. The deepest knowledge God is in the human form only. Again in Brahma Samhita, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarya Karanam. Whether it's Adi or Anadi, beginning or the end, Govinda is Sarvakarya Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. He is without the beginning and the end. Next slide, sir. But Bhagavan assumes the various roles by his Yoga Maya, and we perceive him with our limitations. Like, for example, you see the three brothers, Vibhishana, Ravana, Kumbhakarna. One Sattvic, the other Rajasic, and the third one Tamasic, all in the same family and their brothers. The first is competent and special. Rajasic, she is the god has nothing special at all. He is so egoistic. And Kumbhakarna, he not only is egotistic, but also totally in the tamasic frame of mind. Now, with so much difference, all that we have to learn is having ignorance is not sin, but perpetuating our ignorance is our problem. Swami Paramathananda, our Guruji, further says to us, Muda manushim tanum asritam. God has taken only human form to guide us. And Swamiji exes on even further, and he says, there is a solution, and that is the good old trio, Ravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Only that will help. And be not stuck. Next image, please. Next slide. Be not stuck with the lower image of Rama, Krishna, Devi, and all those things for perpetuation. And also don't be carried away by the adharam madhuram, vadanam madhuram, the sweet baby face of Krishna, but aim for that avyaktam. And stop the avajananti. Stop degrading the Lord. And through upasana and gnana, nirguna is the desert, though saguna is also admissible because it's only a starter in our meal. Next slide, sir. So the journey is long, arduous, difficult. It is from apara to para, from achetana to chetana, and from saguna to nirguna. The arduous journey is nothing but a long journey of saguna maya to nirguna brahma. Well, we have to remember, gnanam is impossible without upasana, but upasana is not ultimate. It is incomplete without gnanam. In fact, Krishna, to sum it up, is sarva jantunam atmanam. He is all prevalent in all beings, inanimate as well as animate. Yet another interesting undercurrent in this shloka by Chinmayananda is, slide, sir. See, Krishna is taking us away from the demigods, the idol worship, and even the gurus also. In fact, in a broader perspective, Chinmayananda says, Krishna is saving the people from rivalry and jealousy of the different sects and cults. He is taking us away from the idol worship, which only breeds the misunderstanding and more of fanatism. So he says, we need the motherland, as we shown in that flag in the previous slide. We need the motherland, but not the three-colored tiny bits which makes a khadi flag. We are often overtaken. Next slide, sir. We are often overtaken by the stories of Gajendra Moksha, the Draupadi's savior, the Govardhan Giri adventure. Unfortunately, the Upanishadic messages, or maybe to an extent right, are covered by the overdrives of Purana and Itihasa, so that they're a little more palatable and understanding to the common man. Shankaracharya emphasizes again, shed the Saguna Maya and embrace the Nirguna Brahma and say to yourself, Aham Brahma Asmi. Well, to me, next slide, sir. The take-home message is simple. Lord is not an earthbound being, but assumes that form with the object to teach. So we can sum it up as be not bound by the body, yet experience it. In the next sloka, the next speaker, Krishna remarks about the senseless vanity which leads to delusion and demonic nature. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, sir. Here Krishna emphatically says, Moodaha avajananti. From the Paramarthika angle, creation is mithya, nacha matstani bhutani. Although I intimately exist as Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, Moodaha avajananti. People ignore this higher nature. Why? Manushim tanum ashritam. Because I transact in this human body. So due to this ignorance, samsara is perpetuated. Avidyam antare vartamana swayam dhiraha panditam manyamana. This is sheer misfortune. It's like the blind leading the blind. So let's proceed to the last verse of the day, verse 12 by Shri Bhaskar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse goes like this. Mogasa moga karmana moga jnana vichetasaha rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohnim stritaha. The justice, these indiscriminate people are full of vain hopes, vain pursuits, and vain knowledge. They take to rajasic and tamasic nature, which dilutes them. This justice is very simple, but very profound. In this verse, Lord Krishna talks about some intelligent people approaching the problem sensibly and having derived some sort of solution, the right, what do you say, the right direction in life with a right directive. What is the directive? Do not lean on perishable psychology. Learn to lean on God. That is the meaning, the path is from world dependence to God dependence to self-dependence. Well, on the contrary, the common man ignores to engage in analyzing the problem because of wrong thinking and wrong expectations, in spite of bitter lessons in life. They tend to lean on some object, and supposedly that object fails, then they jump onto something else. That is the very way they are jumping from this addiction to that addiction, ultimately leading nowhere. They become victims, and this continues, since the end is not clear to them by not recognizing Ishwara's Atma. These mogasha, whose hopes are vain, idle dreams, and these actions are moga karmana, are fruitless and futile. And these karmas are done not for antakarana shuddhi, preparing them for atma gnana. That is the reason they are into samsara. On the other hand, the karma yoga mumukshus perform karma to be rid of or to be released from the hold of ragadveshas, as they recognize atma as parabrahma. In fact, for such mumukshus, everything becomes meaningful. Family is meaningful, and life is meaningful, and as they view the end with clarity. For them, marriage is also meaningful. Well, everything is an ashram, a stage in life. Swami Paramatmananda invokes Kathopanishad, wherein Lord Krishna optimizes Rathakalpana, where the body is compared to the chariot, sense organs to the horses, mind to the reins, and intellect to the driver. The journey will ensue in the right direction only if the driver is instructed properly. Arjuna had Krishna to guide him, whereas we have to seek the spiritual guidance to get right knowledge and right direction. Most people never follow the scriptures, and obviously with wrong knowledge coupled with wrong desires, and they end up with wrong results. Therefore, they suffer in samsara. Swami Dayananda Saraswati interprets, next slide please, that Moga Gnana people who are well educated but lack maturity, because must induce you to seek the truth and question yourself, what am I doing? Without this, element of inquisitiveness, knowledge is insipid. And it's not made the person mature. In fact, the person who has this sort of an education is only a mission, a breadwinner. Well, presently people under discussion with the knowledge they have are vichetasaha, people without viveka. They cannot discern what is proper, improper, dharma or adharma, or atma and anatma. They are unable to interpret in a given situation what is right. In fact, anything they do is convenient, or whatever they do, resorting to disproportionate of rakshasa gunas and asura gunas. They feel whatever they do is right. Their actions will be kama pradhana or krodha pradhana. Their activities arise out of attachment or hatred. The difference between rakshasim and asurim is the raga, out of raga, whatever they do is predominance of rajoguna, and the other one is dvesha with tamasic guna. Raga or kama pradhana actions are also called rakshasim prakriti. It's a very vicious circle. Excess desires, that is greed, catapults a person to amass disproportionate wealth and obtained through illegal, immoral, and shortcut methods. Dvesha pradhana is rampant in today's scenario. The corporates annihilating competitors and small establishments mercilessly. Well, this is so much prevalent. Swami Chinmayananda quotes Adolf Hitler and traces his childhood days where he was subjugated by the upper class sections of the society. And later in his lifetime, ascended to become an authority, the Chancellor of Germany. It is then when he unleashed terror and committed the genocide of the Jews, a typical example of Dvesha Pradhana karma. Eventually, Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakriti. Prakriti meaning character or swabhava. They take to Mohinim, that is, which eludes people, leading to non-discrimination. The Kamya Nishiddhi karmas, where discrimination further gets stifled. That is how criminals are born, and they become incorrigible. Swamiji narrates the instance of forest fire, where initially the wind becomes a friend when the flame is very small, but later when the flame is disastrous, the fire becomes a friend of the wind. This is adverse law of nature, that if you cannot defeat the enemy, join him. Similarly, when we take to Kamya Nishuddhi karma, our buddhi can stop it, right? But if we let go, the intellect joins or compromises the values. Hence, intellect will join and justify the violation, manifesting into Rakshasim and Asurim gunas. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a very nice explanation. I shall just summarize all that you have said in a few words. Krishna describes these unfortunate people as mudhas because they lack nirguna brahma jnanam, which we in this chapter call Raja Vidya. They're stuck in apara vidya, moga jnana. They nurture useless desires, moga asha. They dwell in useless actions, moga karmani. Why? Because they're deprived of this Raja Vidya. Ajanantamam mama bhuta maheshwaram. They have been unable to see pashyame yogamaishwaram. Thank you.
Hearty thanks to Dr. Anupama and to all the speakers of the day for a very nice session, and to all the Vedantists who have joined us today. Friends, we shall be back on Friday, the 27th September 2024, with our 19th session of Mandukya Upanishad at 6:45 p.m. Param Vedanta teachers shall explain Karikas from 16 to 20 of Advaita Prakaranam. Remember to join us on time and benefit from this enlightening knowledge of Mandukya Upanishad. Let us chant the Shanti Mantra and conclude the day's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।